Hey, Foot Clan, Omaha Steaks gourmet holiday gifts make life easier and a whole lot more delicious. Omaha Steaks has a great limited time offer. Get 28 favorites that are guaranteed to thrill for only $49.99. That is a $195 value. Go to omahasteaks.com. Search fantasy in the search bar and add the family gift package to your cart. That's omahasteaks.com. Code fantasy. Don't wait. Order today.
This is Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Tuesday's about to begin.
Tuesday is, I don't know about you, it actually started like
earlier?
Way earlier, at the strike of midnight.
They didn't renegotiate time on our behalf?
No, I know that there's some negotiations about whether we start clocks when our show is released.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes you put more emphasis on when this show comes out to start your day. Tuesday started, but did it really start?
It didn't really start until the show is dropped, so congrats, everybody, on your Tuesday.
Who started that phrase, like when the show drops?
I think it was Mike.
Mike did?
Yeah, 100 years ago.
100 years? It just seems like a strange phrase. That's all. I have a quiz for you today, Jason.
Oh,
by the way, welcome in.
Quizzes.
Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Jason is here. I'm here. Jay Grizz is here. Mike is not here. Brooks is here. Baby Josh is still here. And we've got a great show today, waivers. We're going to talk through a bunch of start-sit decisions, players that you're thinking about benching and not benching, and cause that's kind of what the waiver wire looks like now. You're just deciding, are you playing them this week or next week?
There's no future long-term outlook, and there's no getting cute.
Right.
It's not like there's no glory play. This is the playoffs. You have to take your best foot forward and win this week, or you're home.
Sometimes I wish I had a special alarm, like on my my watch or my phone, that tells me when I'm overthinking a decision, like once it's gone past the 30-minute mark.
Right,
because it's the playoffs, so I'm sitting there. Literally, in my league of record, I'm going, I have thought way too much about the kicker. Like I have thought all last week about the kicker. I'm going to play this week because I was on bye. I thought about this morning and here's the truth about it.
Shameful.
I don't know who to play because they're kickers.
Because it's a kicker.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So, do you sit down and you're just chilling and your Apple Watch gives you that buzz of like your heart rate? You haven't moved in 10 minutes, but your heart rate's over 100.
Is that what you have?
I get that from time to time. Yes.
Okay. Here is we got a lot to talk about. We'll get into the Monday night recap since that was so exciting. But here, I want to quiz you, Jay.
Right.
Now, if you were to go out you played basketball growing up. You were on the high school team.
Yes, sir.
You had the skills to not pay the bills.
That is also true.
How many free throws would you hit out of 100 right now? Put you on a court, get you in a rhythm. I'll give you 5 warm-up shots, and then you shoot 100 free throws.
It's been a while. I'm gonna be bad. I'm gonna go 70%.
70%. Okay, let's see.
70.
Let's see if you can. Yes, we got it. Let's see if you can beat your free throw percentage on this quiz. Now I'm gonna have a lay of the land for you. I want to know who your. Oh, shoot.
That means I can only miss one.
Top 5 on the season fantasy points per game. Running back. Can you name them all?
Can I name them all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you get them all?
Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
This is where it gets a little trickier. Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
And numero 5.
Which four did you say so far?
I said Zeke.
Gurley. Zeke.
Gurley.
Kamara.
Yeah, and who was the other one I said?
You said McCaffrey.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to get him to say the other one.
Come on, you're leaving a big one off of the list.
Melvin Gordon.
Nope.
Oh, really? The one game missed? How many games has he missed?
It's per game, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Who am I missing?
Who did you say was one of the best running backs in football now? He's also a rookie.
Oh, goodness gracious. Saquon Barkley is the best.
It's Gurley, Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to give you 4 to 5.
Okay. All right. That's over 70%.
You're better. Wide receivers on the season, top 5 points per game to this point in the season. Who you got?
Oh, man, that's interesting.
This
Jeez.
might be where your free throw percentage comes.
Yeah, this is going to go down significantly.
No, come on. You know these guys.
Well, you've got Odell Beckham.
No.
You were talking per game?
No.
He's not in the top 5?
He is not.
Antonio Brown?
Yes.
Adam Thielen?
Yes.
Tyreek Hill?
Yes. That's 3 of 5. This is good radio.
This is great radio. Let's see. Next best wide receiver, I would go.
All right, I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
His name's Devontae Adams.
Adams
Yes.
from the Packers.
Yes. Devontae Adams.
And then it's not Juju, right?
No.
No, Julio.
Yes, Julio Jones. You got it. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 60% though on that one.
All right, that's under my free throw percentage. But I'm evening out. I'm about 70%.
We'll finish with this. Tight ends. I mean,
oh goodness, don't
you can do tight ends.
Don't
Tight
do
ends should
that.
be easy enough.
What?
I mean, top 5 points per game, tight ends. This should be a piece of cake for you. No big deal. One of your favorite players of all time.
Eric Ebron, one of my favorite players of all time, is there.
He's-
Obviously, you got Ertz, you got Kelsey.
Yeah. So you just need 2 more.
2 more in the garbage.
No, there's one more big one you're missing.
Yeah.
From this year.
A little help,
George Kittle.
A little
There you
help
go.
from your
Yeah.
friends.
So and then
your
is
second
Jared
favorite.
Cook?
Yeah, your second favorite player behind Ebron, Jared
Is
Cook.
Jared Cook.
Yeah, Jared Cook is number 5.
Do you remember preseason when I was high on Jared Cook? We had a whole segment about you guys griefing me on Jared Cook.
Are you taking a Jared Cook victory lap?
I think I deserve a Jared Cook victory lap. We're not like week 1. Jared Cook's been a great tight end.
But you also, I mean, did you stick with him all year long? Like through the 4 week and the 2 week and the 6 week and the 5 week and the 3 week and the 7 week?
As far as fantasy,
No,
yeah,
I mean,
you still have to.
He's been great. They have no players anymore except for Jared Cook. So, and he drops 3 or 4 passes a week and still does it.
So amazingly, tight ends is the one that I get.
Yeah.
Don't ask me the next 5 tight ends because
Okay,
that would
yeah.
be
Derek Carrier,
a
Ferkser.
nightmare. Ferkser.
All right. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. I wanted to clarify something on the show yesterday. We mentioned that we had finished like runner up on the Discover Pod Awards. That's not the iHeartRadio Awards.
Oh no, sir. Keep
So
voting.
don't stop voting for that at footclanvote.com.
Yeah, this is not the one that the Foot Clan is voting on. The one that the Foot Clan is voting on is iHeartRadio. That's coming up, and you're taking us down as champs.
Taking us down?
Taking us down the aisle.
Okay.
As champs.
That's not a normal phrase.
Just totally normal.
Take us down the aisle, Foot Clan.
Help us withstand some victories.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do, though. Instead of going to footclanvote.com, I'll just tell you what you can do. That'll take you right to the iHeartRadio Podcast Awards where you can vote for us. We were nominated for the best sports podcast with some really great other shows. I would just go to footclangiveaway.com because the links to vote for us are on there, and then when you vote for us, you're automatically entered to win a signed DeAndre Hopkins jersey, a signed Saquon Barkley jersey, and a signed Michael Thomas mini helmet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I would go to footclangiveaway.com. Now, looking at the Monday night game, Jason.
Don't make me do it.
Don't make you talk about it?
Don't make me look at it again. I mean, it was...
Would you believe Russell Wilson had 72 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and they dominated the game and won?
I would believe it only because I watched the game and I saw it happen. And the Seahawks this year, they're winning in the weirdest way imaginable. I saw it was really interesting. They posted on early on a graphic on the screen about how they are running with 6 offensive linemen more than any other team in the league. Like that's
20%
almost,
of the time.
I think it was 60% of the time.
Well, last night it was. Last night they had him out there all the time, but they had the highest percentage week to week with 6 offensive linemen.
They're playing a different game, and their run game has been awesome this season.
42 rushing attempts last night compared to 20 passes.
Yeah, and
5.1 a carry.
They did dominate the game. The final score is fair of the Seahawks domination, 21-7, but it feels more like a 3-0.
Doug Baldwin didn't play. Chris Carson dominated the snaps at running back. If you played Russell Wilson, which I wasn't willing to do because last week he had 11 pass attempts total. He just happened to throw 4 touchdowns. He did not connect with Tyler Lockett on a deep pass this game. Lockett had 5 receptions. No other receiver on Seattle had more than 1. And
Stupid
so
David Moore.
if you didn't play Chris Carson, you were unhappy?
There was Chris Carson, and Dalvin Cook got saved by a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, I saw people that lost because of that Dalvin Cook touchdown.
That one is upsetting. You have my genuine and full condolences if you lost because of the Dalvin Cook touchdown. There's a big difference to me. Garbage time is part of the game. You're down by 3 scores. It's the fourth quarter. They're playing prevent defense. Now all of a sudden you're racking up yards. Whatever. But the last second garbage time is such trash to me. You're down multiple scores. There's 14 seconds left. You should be kneeling the ball.
Instead, he ended up with a touchdown. He had 5 for 28 through the air. So Dalvin Cook, you were happy. You weren't really happy with Thielen?
No, you weren't
5
happy
for 70.
He didn't destroy you, but you're certainly not happy. You went into that game needing more from Thielen and Diggs and everyone else. The only 2 players that you could possibly be happy with, Chris Carson, Dalvin Cook.
How does it make you feel about Kirk Cousins next week? They'll be at home against Miami. Miami fighting for a playoff spot. Kirk Cousins just about 200 yards the past 2 games, just 1 touchdown in each game.
The problem with Miami is that now that they had the whatever, I'm sure it's called the Miami Miracle or something.
Sure.
I believe they're above 500. Is this correct? The Dolphins?
Yeah.
Which means Kirk Cousins can no longer play against that team.
Oh, okay.
Well, I believe he's 4-24 against teams with a winning record.
How do you feel if you're a Viking fan right now? $84 million guaranteed. Do you feel fine about it because you got to have a quarterback?
No.
Or do you feel
you feel terrible about it because
they're still going to make the playoffs. That's what I think.
You feel terrible. He was brought in to win the exact games that he has lost. No different than Case Keenum. Case Keenum could have won every single game. I feel like maybe
he needs a little clutch, man. He's got no clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Doug Baldwin didn't play, by the way. We didn't think he would. He's just kind of not making it through the week. So you have to monitor him for next week. They probably could have used him based on the fact that nobody else could catch the ball. But all right, let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Really, I think the big news that we need to talk about is related to Austin Ekeler, Melvin Gordon, and Tyreek Hill.
That is
the Thursday night game. Everything that has to do with Thursday, you get a little less time to make a decision.
Yeah, and you will not have an update that matters enough from now until close to game time when it comes to Melvin Gordon. Practices on a short week for Thursday, they are walkthrough type practices. They don't even technically have to report official participation. A lot of times there was it was put out that I forget the way that it was worded, but the team's Twitter account put out the practice report and simulated participation because it's not real, and that Melvin Gordon is not going to do anything this week while he's resting that knee to know what's happening. Austin Ekeler,
he's not going to play.
Is not going to play. There's almost no chance that he plays in this game. He's dealing with a stinger that has lasted. The injury he has
can barely move.
Minutes or seconds. If it lasts as long as it has, which it has, then he's got a problem that he's not playing this week.
So fantasy owners may have Justin Jackson with a complete and utter snap domination on Thursday night against the Chiefs. They also could have Melvin Gordon back.
If you're a Melvin Gordon owner, you have to get Justin Jackson.
Hopefully you did.
And the thing is there will be, I promise you, so many leagues where Justin Jackson is dropped in the waivers today because they're not keeping up to date with what's going on with Austin Ekeler, and they saw Justin Jackson was a huge disappointment this last week. They think Melvin Gordon's coming back on Thursday anyways. Justin Jackson will hit the waivers, and when he does, you have to pick him up because he could be the bell cow in a super high-scoring game against Kansas City.
Yep, you got to monitor that, and then the freak out, or at least my freak out. Tyreek Hill with the heel injury.
Oh, freak out!
Further examination of the foot injury that he suffered showed nothing serious. That was a report by Adam Schefter yesterday. He's considered day-to-day. Andy Reid says he expects him to play. I hadn't seen that. That's great that Andy Reid came out and said that. He probably won't practice at all.
Pro Football Doc did a write-up on this and also talked about it on his podcast where he basically said that the way the injury is, it's bone. It's not attached to the Achilles. This is it's
pain tolerance?
Actually, it's pain tolerance, but it's actually easier for Tyreek Hill to run than to walk, because when you walk or when you decelerate, you're using your heel.
Maybe that's why he looked really good running.
And that's exactly what he said. It's like that's why he can still burn guys, look great out there, and then when he comes to the sideline and slows down, you see him limping like crazy. So he expects that he'll be able to play and play well. So Tyreek owners, a huge sigh of relief. I mean, obviously you'd want him fully healthy. But
so here's the thing. We've got Week 15, Week 16 for fantasy championships. If Kansas City wins on Thursday night and Pittsburgh defeats New England, I'm fairly certain that secures the number 1 seed for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm almost positive. I don't want that to happen if you want Tyreek Hill not to be kind of incentivized to take a week off the week following. Now, he'll have 10 days off, so if he plays this week, you expect him to play the week after, but just bear that in mind when you're running into that situation. The other thing, and this is more of a deeper strategy thought process, and I'm just going to share it because I'm going through it. Waivers go through tomorrow, and I've got Tyreek Hill, and I've got some bench options, and I think to myself, well, I'm going to go grab another wide receiver to insure myself, right? Mm-hmm. And you can do that if there's a must-have guy. But in our league, I didn't feel like there was a must-have guy.
The waivers for wide receivers are just trash this week.
So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to utilize my waiver pickups to play a little defense against my opponent, to grab a couple other positions that I think are more important to keep away. And I'm just going to do a little swap. If Hill's out on Thursday, he's going to go into my IR, and then I'll worry about waivers on picking up a replacement Friday, Saturday, Sunday, instead of going out and grabbing a guy I don't need to grab right now.
Precautionary.
Yeah.
And,
so,
does that include Chris Conley?
I think he does.
So you're saying you'll risk the chance that maybe someone plays defense against you and picks up Chris Conley,
right?
Because you think Tyreek's going to play.
Yes.
You're willing to take that chance. Obviously, if Tyreek was out, would Conley be your pickup? Assuming he's still on the waivers?
I mean, probably. Because I'd probably want the stack.
Yeah,
I have Mahomes. But if you don't have Mahomes, you're not as incentivized. I mean, Conley's there, but would you rather have Kenny Stills? We're getting to names today. I'll ask you everybody today about Chris Conley, but that's my thought process going into the week is I'd rather play some defense with my pickups than I would plan for Hill to miss. 'Cause I don't think he's going to miss now, thankfully. Other news, LaShawn McCoy day-to-day with a hamstring strain. We're going to talk about the running backs in Buffalo, who you might be able to pick up if you need a desperation play. John Harbaugh did not commit to Joe Flacco as his starter, so we may have Lamar Jackson again. We'll keep you up to date there. And just now, some breaking news. NFL Network, Steve White. Is that Wyche?
I'm not sure.
I apologize.
That's my best guess.
Yeah. He reports the the Chargers are not optimistic that Gordon will play against the Chiefs. So that looks like Justin Jackson is your must-have pickup target of the week off of the waiver wire.
Yeah.
So there you go.
If he's out and Eckler's out in a game like that, I know Justin Jackson disappointed, but I don't care who it is. I mean, it could be Damian Williams, who I think is a trash player. If he was there, I would pick him up and start him for sure.
Listen. The Chiefs are 31st in the league against the running back position. He will have it to himself. He caught 2 passes this past week. So he'll catch the ball, he'll run the ball, and it's going to be a competitive game. Justin Jackson is a strong play.
Yeah.
You got to move to the future with him. You can't worry about last week. According to my numbers here, Justin Jackson is only owned in 43% of ESPN leagues.
And like I said, those 43%, now if this Melvin Gordon news goes everywhere, he'll be less dropped, but he will hit some waivers this week.
I think a lot of people are going to be wondering, do I start Justin Jackson or do I start Mark Ingram? Those type of questions. That'll be another matchup discussion that we'll have on the show this week for sure. Before we get into the waivers, I do want to thank our Harry's for sponsoring today's podcast, longtime friends of the footballers. Look, gift shopping, you know the story. It can seem kind of impossible to find the right gift. And Harry's makes long-lasting quality products at a super reasonable price. And they have these gift sets that I can promise you, whoever you're giving them to, they're going to love them. Right now is a special offer for our fans. We've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off any shaved set, including their limited edition holiday sets when you go to harrys.com/footballers. That's easy. Plus, you'll get free shipping. This offer is for new and returning customers and is only available for the holidays. Each Harry's shaving set comes with an ergonomic weighted handle, option to engrave, German-engineered 5-blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave, foaming shave gel for a rich lather, travel cover, handsome holiday box. Maybe you want to try it yourself. Redeem a holidays trial offer to experience the quality of shaving before committing. Get your holiday shipping done early. Free shipping ends on December 12th, so act right now. That's harrys.com/footballers to get $5 off a shave set while supplies last. That's harrys.com/footballers.
Footballers and Foot Clan. Now through December 25th, 23andMe DNA kits are on sale. If you're not familiar with what these are awesome. These are genetic discovery boxes that are on sale that, look, all three of us, we've all done this. We did this before they were a sponsor because we actually believed in it. It was really cool. One of the things you could do is you could share the results with your friends, with your family. So like Andy, Mike, myself, we've all shared. We could compare our wellness and stuff like that. With 23andMe's Ancestry Composition Report, you can explore where your DNA is from out of 150 regions worldwide, see what kind of role your genes play in your well-being and lifestyle. For instance, studies have found that almost all elite power athletes have a specific gene variant in a gene related to muscle composition. Guess who has it? I do. That's not a joke. I really do. Look, now through December 25th, you can get 30% off your 23andMe kit. Order your DNA kit at 23andme.com/footballers. That's the number 23andme.com/footballers. Again, 23andme.com/footballers.
Put me in, coach.
I will race you right now, Jason. I will race you right now.
Outside of racing, I will
genetic
challenge
cheater?
you in every
genetic
other
cheater?
Genetic cheater. Yeah.
Oh, you want it? Yeah.
Brooks.
Power-based. That's
yes,
what you want.
Power-based.
You don't want to race me.
Brooks, remind me, who won the high jump at the combine?
No,
No, who won?
I don't remember.
Protest.
Oh, come on. You do remember. It was me.
You better watch your mouth.
Oh, there's no way.
Because I will take you outside right now, and I will do another high jump competition.
No way. Not with these.
You will get torched.
I got Saquads right now.
Say quads?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I doubt it. All right. Waiver wire wide receivers. We just talked about Conley and Hill in those situations. We've got our favorites. And here are some players that I think fantasy owners are freaking out about, feeling uncomfortable about. Let me gauge maybe how comfortable you are and how scared you are of these players. Okay, Jason?
Okay.
So let's do a sliding scale here. 1 to 10, 10 being the most worried, 1 being the least worried. Kenny Golladay at Buffalo.
1 being the
least worried.
Least.
Yeah. Kenny Golladay at Buffalo.
I would say 3.
Okay. Allen Robinson against Green Bay.
3.
Alshon Jeffrey against the Rams.
I don't want to say it, but it's true.
What is
3.
it? Really? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm like a 7 or 8 with Jeffrey.
I'm not worried about any one of those. I think that
Jeffrey's been bad.
Jeffrey's been bad. He caught a touchdown this last week. And he had a strong stretch to start the year. I mean, this is going to be a higher scoring game.
All right.
I'm
that's fine.
not too worried.
That's fine. I'm pulling you. Some other players people probably afraid to start or think about starting, and this is the context for the waiver pickups. Cortland Sutton against Cleveland at home.
Yeah, you have to worry there. He just hasn't gotten it done, and Case Keenum is the worry. He throws the ball as close to his feet as possible.
To Sutton's feet?
To his own.
Oh, to his own.
Did
you
he
see
measures from there and says, how many inches is this away from my feet?
Is it under 12? And then it's a good pass. No, it's funny because on the show I railed against Case Keenum yesterday about the fact that he's not challenging downfield. He's 1 second, 2 second, throw it to the flat to somebody that's going to tackle him. You see Vance Joseph came out yesterday?
I'm assuming – I did not see, but I'm assuming he came out and said he needs to push the ball down the field?
Yeah. He came out and said Chase needs to be aggressive and throw it downfield. If he's not going to be aggressive, Sutton's going to stink. DJ Moore against New Orleans?
DJ Moore against New Orleans, I would say I'm
5?
5.
All right. Adam Humphries against Baltimore?
9.
Godwin against Baltimore?
9.
Corey Davis against the Giants?
7.
Calvin Ridley against Arizona?
Calvin Ridley against Arizona, 5.
Okay. Let's see where these waiver wire pickups fit in that equation. Let's start with who are some of your favorites of the unowned wideouts. Because like you said, it is not pretty.
No.
We were looking at this yesterday, and we were grimacing.
The reason it's not pretty is because there's no clear-cut, I want to start a guy this week, you got to go after so-and-so. For instance, Curtis Samuel, he is 31% owned, so he's still widely available. He's been very good.
Very involved.
He's been very involved, much more involved than we thought, even after Funchess came back. We know his speed, and he's got a great matchup against New Orleans. So he's near the top of my list. But it's not a home run. DJ Moore's been very involved. Funchess is getting back to health. If Curtis Samuel ends up with 2 receptions for 12 yards, no one's going to be surprised. I feel like there's nobody with a strong volume baseline and the touchdown upside.
There are a lot of warts for each of these guys. You can make the argument that they will disappoint you as much as you can say surprise you in a good way. Now, Samuel, he did out-snap Devin Funchess on Sunday 58-32. He has 19 targets in the last 2 weeks, and he is near the top of my list because of the New Orleans matchup, the need to throw the ball consistently. Whether or not Cam Newton can do that well, he hasn't been doing it well lately.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel started the year with the deep stuff as Cam Newton's shoulder has been injured. Cam Newton is ironically throwing at his highest pass completion percentage ever, but that's because the shoulder is causing more short stuff, the scheme, dump-offs to Christian McCaffrey, stuff like that. I like the matchup with Curtis Samuel. The 58-32 targets or snap count against Devin Funchess I worry, can be misleading because last week, if you remember going into that game, they said Funchess will be limited. So that was his, he's getting back from injury. He was going to be more limited. They used him when they got in the red zone. He caught a touchdown. So does he push one of these guys out? And Torrey Smith, is he back? So, yeah, here's the thing. We're bringing up Curtis Samuel because
Funchess did not catch a touchdown. He completely goosed on Sunday.
Was that the week before that he caught the touchdown? He was 1 for 17 and
1 for 10 and a touchdown. So in the last 3 weeks, he's had 1 catch. So
yeah, I'm certainly not. I'm not saying Funchess is at anything good. I just worry about him
that makes
encroaching.
sense.
The matchup says good. The reason we're talking about Curtis Samuel is because I think he is among the best pickups this week.
But
like
I agree.
Josh Reynolds.
Right.
Josh Reynolds,
3 for 36.
High-powered offense when they're not at 20-degree weather on the road against a great defense. Philadelphia's secondary, that's who they're going to be playing, and they're at home, is banged up. Reynolds could have a great game. But
would you play him over Larry Fitzgerald against Atlanta, in Atlanta?
I would.
I would play Reynolds over Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I would as well.
Over any of the Tampa offensive options outside of Mike Evans against Baltimore?
Yeah, I think I would. You had Chris Godwin disappoint in a great matchup, and it's really, really tough to trust Jameis Winston against an elite defense like Baltimore.
I'm going to throw some names out, guys that did put up big numbers or nice numbers this last week. You tell me how interested you are in them. Kenny Stills had an 8 for 135 in one day, and like I said, Miami's fighting to make the playoffs.
I love Kenny Stills, the player, so much, but the matchup on the road in Minnesota is not good. Russell Wilson just threw for 70-something yards. What's Ryan Tannehill going to do?
He was a top 5 guy this past week, Jason.
Yeah, but that was at home against the Patriots.
Yeah. Josh Doxson was pretty good, 4 for 84. Jamison Crowder was 2 for 87, the huge touchdown, but they have Jacksonville and no quarterback. No disrespect to Josh Jackson, who hadn't thrown a pass since 2011.
But you're not a quarterback.
No. He's a quarterback.
Okay.
But
that's what you said.
Not one I have faith or trust in.
Sure.
And I think it's going to be tough sledding for
Randall Cobb, right? He's back. He catches a touchdown. He's got Aaron Rodgers. Even there, you're on the road against Chicago. That's
sit of the week.
That's not where you want to be.
Anthony Miller got goose last week. He's 33% owned. Taylor Gabriel and Anthony Miller, they play Green Bay. They're at home. One of them's going to have a good game. I would probably lean the Taylor Gabriel direction, based on the targets.
Yeah, the problem with the targets is they're so irrelevant. I mean, usually he'll definitely, like, if I had to pick one of those two guys to have more targets, there's no question it's Taylor Gabriel. But if he gets 10 targets, he could end up with 40 yards.
He hasn't scored in quite some time.
I would go with Anthony Miller for the upside play. But you know who I would – let me throw a name out there. A player who is not owned at all, is not that good, super disappointed this weekend to the tune of a goose, who I think I would be willing – I mean, I've set this up very poorly.
Yes.
Who I would be willing to maybe play, and that would be David Moore.
No.
Because if Doug Baldwin is out, you're not talking about Minnesota's defense, where David Moore pretty much was an inch away from a long bomb touchdown already. You're talking about San Francisco.
No.
Really?
No. I'm diametrically opposed to that, yeah.
Back-to-back
gooses for David Moore.
I think Russell Wilson throws 3 touchdowns against San Francisco. Didn't he throw? That was the team he threw 4 touchdowns against a minute ago. And if Doug Baldwin is out, I think David Moore can have himself a game.
You want to go into Week 15 playing a guy that's goosed that often? Traquan Smith and David Moore, 0 catches in Week 13.
Okay,
David Moore, 0 catches in Week 14.
Same game.
The last
you would much
7
rather
weeks, he has 2 points, 2 points, 6 points. He had the long touchdown, 18-point game against Carolina on a bomb, 0-0.
Would you feel better if instead of 0-0 it was another long bomb touchdown?
Sure, yeah.
Because he was an inch from that. It was like he should have had the touchdown, but his foot was on the line last night. So same game, you'd rather have Dante Pettis, who's still available in half the league, right?
Yes.
I like that Seattle's defense is obviously so much better with the 12th man in Seattle. This game is in San Francisco, right?
Yes.
So that's good news for Pettis. Pettis has been on fire. I mean, he was my rising star this last week. Caught another touchdown, 50 yards. Not as involved once Goodwin was back, but still, I mean, that was Goodwin back, and they're going to be at home. So I'd be willing to play Pettis. That's about it. I mean,
Robert Foster, Isaiah McKenzie both had decent games this past week for Buffalo at the wide receiver position. People try to ignore Buffalo at the wide receiver position for good reason. But Robert Foster, 7 for 104 on 8 targets, also had a couple of boom games before that. I think Robert Foster is okay. I think I'd rather play Robert Foster than David Moore.
Would you rather play Robert Foster more than Dante Pettis?
Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not. I believe in the talent of Dante Pettis and the fact that Mullins has found him in a couple of games in a row. It's more,
What about D.D. Westbrook? Because the first game we have with Cody Kessler, 10 targets, 7 for 88 and a touchdown, playing against Washington, who's had a good defense, although because of what's going on with their quarterback, their defense was, I mean, it was 40-0. The Giants were up on them last week.
D.D.'s okay. But, again, you're putting your trust in Cody Kessler in that situation. And I'm looking at it as Week 15. I need to mitigate the goosing potential of a David Moore or a Traquan Smith as much as I need to get lucky on the upside. I mean, any of these guys, right?
All right.
Randall Cobb, Kenny Stills, Jamison Crowder, they can all score a touchdown. Dante Pettis, I don't want to get goosed. Now, the headliner is still if Tyreek Hill was to sit and Sammy Watkins doesn't return, which we don't expect him to, then
he's not returning
Chris
this year.
Conley with Pat Mahomes on Thursday Night Football, would you take him over all the names that we've said already?
Yes, I would. I would want Pat Mahomes as the number 1 wide receiver. Yes, 100%.
So you take him. Would you play Chris Conley in that situation over Kenny Golladay at Buffalo?
No. I would still. I think Buffalo's defense is good, and Kenny Golladay didn't do much. But the thing is that Detroit didn't need to do much against Arizona. I believe Matt Stafford threw the ball, not completions, threw the ball 4 times in the second half of last week. So, yeah, Kenny Golladay didn't have himself a good game. They didn't need to. Zach Zinner was like, yeah, I can just run on the Cardinals.
Yeah, everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Deshaun Hamilton, are you interested? Denver wide receiver, 7 for 47 and a touchdown, 9 targets last week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. He was the guy that, picked it up against Cleveland. It could, to play him over Cortland Sutton would be difficult for me, and I don't really want to play Cortland Sutton. I'm interested, but I don't want my playoffs on the line here with Case Keenum. So now that, I genuinely I don't want to overstate this, but I feel like I'm a little depressed.
Yeah,
now,
that wasn't
from
that was
the wide
not
receiver
fun. That was a bad
position.
time.
Can we please go to running backs? There's so many
better
potential options at running back, and I might be able to dig myself out of this feeling.
Okay, let's move on. Running backs, the players that people have a lot of doubts with this week: Tevin Coleman, Marlon Mack. If you're a Jordan Howard owner, if you're a Gus Edwards owner, losing carries to Kenneth Dixon. News came out yesterday from John Harbaugh. Dixon's going to be more involved, and Dixon can catch the ball.
Kenneth Dixon.
Gus Edwards cannot catch the ball. And then Jeff Wilson, Adrian Peterson, lots of doubts.
Barring injury updates like what we got earlier with Melvin Gordon maybe pushing Justin Jackson up the list, barring those updates, Kenneth Dixon coming into today was my number one running back pickup where he doesn't require an injury ahead of him. Now there's lots of other people. What's going on with LaShawn McCoy's injury? He looks more day-to-day with the hamstrings, so maybe Chris Ivory and Marcus Murphy aren't great pickups. Damian Williams, we would need news coming out about Spencer Ware with his shoulder. But, Kenneth Dixon, he's only 8% owned. He's got Tampa Bay and the Chargers next week. More and more involved. He had 59 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Added another 21 yards through the air. He's a pass catcher, and against Tampa Bay, he'll be used. And here's what...
So Justin Jackson, number 1, Kenneth Dixon, number 2 for you this week.
Yes.
Where does you were going to say something else about Dixon there.
I was just going to point out that if you watch the game flow, the game started out all Gus Edwards and pretty much finished all Kenneth Dixon. It seemed like at the end of the game, and this was a very, very important game against Kansas City, it was always Kenneth Dixon out there when, it showed who they're actually trusting in those situations, whether it was pass protection or the ability to catch, which is obviously more of a strength of Kenneth Dixon. And I think that fits Tampa Bay if Tampa Bay goes, crazy with yards and touchdowns as they tend to do after a few interceptions.
Gus Edwards was 4.19 a carry, which is fine in that game. Kenneth Dixon was up in the 7s. He's showing something, probably has a bit of rest from the past few years. But Dixon, okay, so Justin Jackson, Kenneth Dixon, we're still waiting to hear on the prognosis for Isaiah Crowell. If Crowell was to miss, I have a lot of interest in Elijah McGuire. He was 17 for 60 and a touchdown last week. He had 74% of the snaps compared to Cannon's 33%. He also caught 3 passes. I think Elijah McGuire is pretty darn sneaky this week as a pickup, and he's only 7% owned. So, Justin Jackson's up in the over 50% owned. Dixon and McGuire are pretty much unowned.
If Elijah McGuire's matchup was better, he would be so high on this list to me because, you're talking about, Crowell didn't practice last week. He was just he was so injured that it was like we really did not know if he was going to play, and then he goes in the game and he's out. I feel like you have to rest him, and I feel like if you don't rest him, you're not giving him the workload that he was used to. So Elijah McGuire, with or without the full out from Crowell, is a good volume play. The worry is, how much do you worry about the Houston Texans defensive line? I know Marlon Mack scored a touchdown on him last week, but they've been pretty stout against the run. Putting your faith in Elijah McGuire against the Houston Texans in the playoffs, you could do worse.
You're just playing the volume there, I guess. I mean, I'd prefer Elijah McGuire alone in that backfield than I would like Jalen Richard for Oakland.
All right, how about this? How about Elijah McGuire alone? Crowell's ruled out. Or Kenneth Dixon, and obviously Gus Edwards is there.
Yeah, I'd play Dixon. I mean, they're going to destroy Tampa Bay at home in Baltimore.
Okay.
So I would definitely play Kenneth Dixon. I think the upside, what we don't know about what could be coming for Kenneth Dixon, and if he has more success, he could be a league winner in a couple weeks.
How about this? This is the waiver wire day. There will most certainly be a lot of people picking up the number 1 running back in fantasy football. Derrick Henry. I mean, the dude's coming off of a 238-yard, 4-touchdown game and is playing the Giants.
What do you do?
I mean, would you rather play Kenneth Dixon or Derrick Henry, it's a legit question.
He faces
right now.
the Giants?
The Giants on the road, but the Giants. 27th on the season against running backs.
Way to set us up for something that's going to destroy us if we're wrong.
It feels like a landmine, but we have to bring the name up because he could be what if he comes in and wins fantasy playoffs for people? I mean, my first thought as a fantasy analyst, as someone that tracks this, watches all the games and looks at stuff through the offseason and scouting and all that jazz, my first thought after the monster game was, I'm not picking him up. No way. But looking at these names, looking at the matchup.
I mean, in 12 previous games, Derrick Henry's highest rushing total on the day was 58 yards. He was coming off a 10 for 40, an 8 for 30, a 9 for 46.
Wow, 58 on the year.
We've seen enough from Derrick Henry over the course of his entire career for me to say that you don't react to that. Now, if you have an option, I'd play Kenneth Dixon. Yes.
You'd play Kenneth Dixon over Derrick Henry.
Kenneth Dixon over Derrick Henry. What would you do, Brooks?
Oh, I'd probably play Henry.
You'd play Henry?
Yeah.
I think I would play Henry too. And I
think New York's going to give him a game. I don't know what do we have the game line for that yet, Brooks? Do we have a game line for Tennessee, New York? I'm going to bet. Let me just, since I haven't seen it, I'm going to predict that game line. That game's in New York. It's in New York. It's Tennessee in New York. I think it's the I'm going to say a 1.5 point Tennessee favorite. Do you have it?
Let's see here.
Oh, hold on a second. No, I don't.
No, it appears
New
New York is favored by 2.5 points.
2.5.
Yes.
So I gave Tennessee too much credit. That is where I would have it too. I think New York wins that game. So if you think New York's going to win the game, or if Vegas thinks that New York has a chance of winning that game, they're favored. Derrick Henry doesn't get the template he got last game, nor does he have the momentum that might have forced Vrabel to put him out on the field more and more and more in lieu of Dion Lewis. Like I'll say this, I'll play Dion Lewis over Derrick Henry in that game. That's how not into Derrick Henry I'm going to be after that monster game. Credit where credit is due, but you have a long career of not being very good.
Wow. I don't blame you one iota for that. You have a long career. There's enough to go off of. But I would play Derrick Henry, and I think I would be willing to pick him up probably second. I overlook him because I assume he's owned, but he's only owned in 60% of leagues, so he's out there in a lot of leagues. And let's say he has a terrible bad game, right? Which he has done so much.
Kind of his thing.
That's probably like 45 yards. Maybe he caught a pass. And how much worse is that than a bad game from Kenneth Dixon?
Well, it's not. It's not much worse.
But if he pops, and the thing is if you look back at his game log, week 7 touchdown, week 8 touchdown.
Oh, he can always score.
Or week 9 touchdown, week 10 2 touchdowns. So you've got a touchdown upside with a guy who's getting volume. I lean Derrick Henry. I don't blame you. I am not going out there telling people, oh, he's a great play, you must start him. He's not going to be my start of the week, but I am willing on the waiver wire to pick him up and start him in the playoffs.
There are tons of people who had him on the bench last week as well.
Where he belonged. It was against Jacksonville.
But what I'm saying is if you can't emotionally handle having him on your bench for another big game again, then just play him. I just don't want to let that taint me too much. Kenneth Dixon is no guarantee. Kenneth Dixon could have a stinker. Kenneth Dinker,
yes. Stinker Dinker.
Kenneth Dinker himself. His floor is worse than Derrick Henry's. Because Dixon could get, for whatever reason, Gus Edwards could dominate the carries like he's been doing. So, look, if you don't want a stinker from Dinker, you can go Henry. He'll give you a stinker of his own. Damian Williams, if Spencer Ware is out, how good do you feel about Damian Williams? I mean, this is a...
We'll have to have news soon, but I would feel great about Damian Williams. He'd be the exact same as Justin Jackson. And honestly, it's one of those, like, who would you rather have? Let's say they both, have the first string and second string running backs ahead of them injured or suspended and kicked off the team in the case of Damian Williams, I would rather have Damian Williams over Justin Jackson. I think Kansas City is the better offense.
Whew.
So, yeah, but I haven't heard anything that makes me believe Spencer Ware will miss.
Right. Well, we'll find out soon. I mean, you guys got to keep it here. We'll keep you up to date with the news.
But I was wondering, if you have a spot on your bench, I mean, he should be added everywhere, right?
Yes, 100%. If you're the Spencer Ware owner, now he's your handcuff, and I do think he should be added.
Even if you're not.
Sure.
Yeah, you might block
It's a week ahead of, if you added Justin Jackson last week, you're dancing this week. Knowing
that Spencer Ware is dealing with what could be a shoulder separation, one big hit could take him out. I mean, a healthy running back, you still grab the handcuff at this point in the season. An already somewhat injured running back, that's much higher odds that the handcuff will pop.
Another flyer, Chris Ivory, Coach McDermott said he's day-to-day. If McCoy misses, Ivory tends to dominate everything in that backfield. He was 12 for 42 before going out. Are you interested in Jalen Richard, Rashad Penny, Theo Riddick, Zach Zinner? 12 for 54 and a touchdown facing Buffalo.
I mean, Zinner over LeGarrette Blount, and I think Detroit's finally made that realization. Hopefully Kerryon gets back. I was talking about this in the studio. Like, what was so upsetting with Zach Zinner's success is that if Kerryon were not injured, he would be dominating Arizona last week. I'm not interested in any of those guys you just mentioned, though.
You want to make a deal with the Devlin, who has 8 rushing yards on the season and 4 touchdowns, and more rushing touchdowns than LaShawn McCoy, Tevin Coleman, or Deion Lewis?
No, I'm staying away from the Devlin.
Okay. Tight ends, our favorite area to talk about. I think if you're an Evan Engram, Kyle Rudolph, Jimmy Graham, Austin Hooper, Trey Boo Boo owner, you're wondering if you can pivot now.
Evan Engram, to me, is a guy that I imagine he's still on some waivers because he's been dealing with injuries. I know in our league of record, he's on the waivers there. So he would be a pickup to me, not a pivot. He's getting healthier. He looked fast. He played enough snaps and was running enough routes to be involved. We still don't know what's going on with the mystery of the quad for Odell Beckham. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago when he, basically got it injured. Then he played.
I thought no.
Yeah,
I thought he injured it during practice last week. That's what
I think it was a re-injury of the kick that he took to the quad 2 weeks before. That's what I've heard.
Well, I'd be more excited about Evan Engram if Beckham was out. Cameron Brate scored twice on New Orleans last week. Ian Thomas faces New Orleans this week. Ian Thomas 9 for 77 on 11 targets. See your number one waiver pickup at the tight end position.
Yeah, I would rather have him. It would be between him and CJ Uzomah for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I lean towards Ian Thomas. Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton in the shoulder, with Greg Olsen out of the way, with the New Orleans defense, everything is stacking up to at least have a good enough baseline, and any one of these guys have the same chance of scoring a touchdown. Ian Thomas, CJ Uzomah. In fact, I would say Ian Thomas is higher because of the quarterback situation. So, yeah, Ian Thomas would be my number one waiver wire pickup. He's only 8% owned, so you can grab him. And if you're in the semifinals playing a waiver wire tight end, you have my thoughts and prayers are with you.
You want a sneaky pickup. I think Vernon Davis is somebody you should look at this week. Vernon Davis will have, no Jordan Reed. By the way, Jordan Reed news came out about him, which is crazy we didn't mention it. That tells you where Jordan Reed is lately. But his toe injury's supposedly not bad, but he's going to miss the season.
Oh, that's Jordan Reed-esque.
So Vernon Davis is alone as the tight end in Washington. Josh Jackson probably playing quarterback. Jacksonville, I know they're most susceptible to the tight end position to any other pass catcher. He was 4 for 31 last week. I will not be surprised or shocked if Vernon Davis has 6+ catches this week. I don't know what that'll equate to, but I think he's an interesting pickup.
You think you could pick him up?
Well, you certainly can. He's only 5% owned.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
That's my answer for almost all these. Here's my guy that I would same game as Ian Thomas. I actually think Ben Watson, who had become mostly irrelevant, his snap counts were going down, but with Dan Arnold as a surprise inactive last week, and Carolina's very, very bad defense in general, but specifically against tight end, do you have any interest there? Or
I'd play Vernon over Ben Watson.
Okay.
I'd also bet you on that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely not taking a bet on this
You don't want to get in on a Vernon Davis bet?
I don't want to get in on a tight end bet. I'll tell you what. I will bet you can have the field of these waiver wire tight ends. I get Kelsey. I'll take that bet.
I'll pass on that one.
And just looking, so it looks like Ben Watson's offensive snap counts. He was back up to 43%. No, thank you.
Yeah, pass.
He has 7 targets over his last 5 games played.
Well, the previous few games, that's what I was talking about. He was down into the 30s in snap percentage. He has basically become irrelevant. With Dan Arnold, a healthy scratch, surprisingly, last week, I thought maybe he would be more involved. But if he was still in the 40s, nope, can't deal with a tight end that's only on the field 40% of the time.
This is a big one. Defenses for the upcoming week. When you look at the unowned defenses, I mentioned it. Atlanta takes on Arizona. Atlanta's at home.
That's
Arizona's awful.
Arizona has no offensive line.
No wide receivers.
They have a quarterback that is a
rookie?
lost puppy rookie who you would want to say is running for his life but can't run.
Right.
So that's great for defenses.
Yeah, kind of waddling for his life.
He has nobody to throw the ball to at all.
No.
I mean, you take out Larry Fitzgerald.
No disrespect, Trent Sherfield. But also
a little disrespect.
A little bit of disrespect. Washington takes on...
I'm sure you were good in college.
Probably. Most
of
these guys are. Like Kelvin Benjamin was good in college. Washington at Jacksonville. Oh, by the way, should we bring Kelvin Benjamin's name up? Were you just thinking that, Brooks?
Yep. As soon as
I mean, if Tyreek Hill was to miss, no, probably not. But, I mean, he'll get snaps. If Tyreek misses, he's going to get snaps on Thursday.
Yeah, he is
enormous snaps.
He is somewhat interesting. I mean, the
Mahomes
amount of touchdowns Pat Mahomes is throwing, Sammy Watkins is out for the year. He's done. The kind of good news is
Are you making that an official declaration?
I am personally making.
You might
want to
you might want to clarify that, because
clarification is this: his foot injury is not. It's a different foot. It's not the foot that he always had the issues with. It's the other foot. There's no.
I apologize. There was a report that he had a setback and he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So
yeah,
so you're right.
He's done. That's why they signed Kelvin Benjamin, and I think he's based on looking at Look, we just went through the waiver wire depression on wide receivers. He might be the only guy that I would be willing to pick up as a stash this late, because if it turns out on Thursday they are utilizing him, they utilize him around the goal line. They use him like a tight end. I mean, look what Travis Kelce is doing.
Demetrius
Demetrius Harris has been good enough. And if I think Kelvin Benjamin is a better receiver than Demetrius Harris.
Would you rather start Atlanta's defense against Arizona at home, Denver's defense at home against Cleveland, or Washington's defense in Jacksonville against Cody Kessler this week? Put those in order. Asking for a friend.
It would be in that order. It would be Atlanta, Denver, Washington.
You'd play Atlanta over Denver.
I would play Atlanta over
the ineptitude
Denver.
of the Cardinals surpassing the better actual defense in Denver.
Yeah, the better actual
defense.
Which
I don't blame you. I'm just asking.
But I'm a Baker believer. Everyone that's listening to this show knows how involved my life has been in baked goods and how important baked goods are to me. And so Mayfield is my man.
It's interesting because Mayfield against Houston, when he traveled against Houston, 14 fantasy points. Houston's defense scored 3 picks, a fumble, a touchdown. But the weeks prior, Atlanta's defense only scored 1. Cincinnati's defense was awful, -2. Carolina last week, just 5 points. I think traveling to Denver's tough against Von Miller and Chubb, but I think Atlanta is a better play.
It's certainly not to say that Denver can't have an amazing game. Baker can throw a pick 6.
He's riskier. To face Baker is risky.
Yes, but if you want to tell me one of those teams is going to end up with negative points,
Right.
You know, and just crush your playoffs because
Right.
I got -2 from my defense. It ain't going to be Atlanta. That's for sure. The Cardinals are not going to shock and awe the Falcons. You know, especially now that platforms have gotten away from defensive scores counting against your defense. So if Matt Ryan throws a pick six, at least we know on ESPN, their platform now won't count that against Atlanta's defense. I mean,
Yeah.
who scores more? Genuine question. Arizona's offense or Arizona's defense? It's close.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let's move on.
Full stream ahead.
All right. Streaming quarterback time, Jason. I see the name you've brought up, and I like it. I like it a lot. Who do you got? Who do you got this week?
This is look, at this time of year, we're not going deep into the waiver wire where you need someone that's only 2% owned. Dak Prescott is owned in a lot of leagues right now, probably yours. He is a worthy start this week is kind of the point. He's still available out there on a lot of waiver wires. Andy, I know you are picking him up to play defense against other opponents or trying to. And, I mean, that's good information for everybody. If your opponent needs someone, this is the time where you need to look to your waiver wire and look at your opponent and say, man, they've got a bad matchup. They need a quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there. Scoop them up. Keep them away. Going to Indianapolis, you know, I think Dallas's defense has been great, but they're traveling on the road against Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck throws a couple touchdowns. Dak needs to keep pace. I like Dak a lot this week.
I've got the he's got legs crowd. I've got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson if he plays. Josh Allen's only 14% owned. Talked about him last week. I said the momentum's going to build on Josh Allen. I think you can stream him. I think there are situations like, let me ask you a genuine question. Tom Brady's Tom Brady, and maybe you don't got the guts to do this. Tom Brady's got to travel into Pittsburgh this week. You want to play Tom Brady into Pittsburgh, or do you want to play Josh Allen against Detroit?
Yeah, it's going to be Brady.
Okay, just make it sure. But I won't be surprised if Josh Allen has a better week than Tom Brady. Pittsburgh needs the win. Pittsburgh's defense is good. I can't really blame you for playing Tom Brady, but there are some matchups that are questionable.
Well, I mean,
would you rather play Josh Allen this week against Detroit or Baker Mayfield on the road against Denver?
I would rather play Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen so far has, you know, he was the number 4 quarterback 3 weeks ago, the number 2 quarterback 2 weeks ago, and what was he, like top 10 this last week? I mean, he's been great. A couple other names to just throw out there.
Marcus Mariota.
Mariota, look.
I think he's a good play this week.
I do too. He's been very good. This last week he had a terrible game, but that wasn't his fault. That was Derrick Henry's fault.
Derrick Henry was too darn good.
Derrick Henry scored 4 touchdowns and ran for 238 yards. It's hard to score on a drive when your running back goes 99 yards for a touchdown. Mariota couldn't do much on that drive.
He should have shovel passed all those.
Yeah,
that would have been nice.
Seriously, a little tap pass. Go, Derrick.
Go, Derrick.
The 4 weeks prior, Mariota was the number 8, number 7, number 6, number 7 quarterback. It's worth noting he's out there. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson, if he gets the start. What about Joe Flacco if he gets the full start?
No. No way. No.
Okay.
I mean, there have been a lot of times when Joe Flacco has gotten the start as the quarterback of Baltimore, and most often when you ask me that question, I would be like, why are you asking me that question?
And the reason my answer would be because Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, but Tampa, they showed up on defense a little bit last week. They threatened the Saints. Drew Brees, terrible game against Tampa last week. I'm not going to play Joe Flacco coming off an injury where he could go off and somebody else can come in. No way.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so I think that's it for our streaming quarterbacks. I'm going with Josh Allen. You go with Dak. Dak fire. Look, Mari Cooper has changed the script. So if you're looking at Dak this week, Jason, last question on this: Dak or Matt Ryan against Arizona? Matt Ryan's in that top 5 per game.
Yeah, I think I would go Dak. I mean, Matt Ryan might not have to do much. Arizona's terrible against the run. Maybe Tevin Coleman can actually get it going. Currently, I've got them back-to-back in my rankings with Dak 1 spot higher.
I realize I didn't quiz you on the quarterbacks, Jason.
Oh, no.
Your Patrick Mahomes. I bet you're going to guess him.
No, he's not in the top 5.
He's above that. Pat Mahomes, and then who? Name the next 4 points per game at the quarterback position on the season. Can you name them?
I would have to think Drew Brees.
He's at 5 in our league format.
Is it on a per game basis?
Correct.
Cam Newton?
No, he's at 6.
Andrew Luck?
Yes.
Phillip Rivers?
No, he's at 7.
Big
Yeah.
Ben?
Yes, number 2. Big Ben's a number 2 quarterback this year.
That makes sense. He's been great. I mean, if he plays, he's great.
Matt Ryan is the last one.
That's weird.
How does it
He
feel?
just had so many incredibly hot games early on.
Yeah. So it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be exciting. Good luck to every Foot Clan owner out there who's still competing. Brooks, your team is so good; it's destined to win the dynasty title.
Oh,
you're just the best, Brooks.
I did want to bring that up. Right now, Brooks is on one side of the bracket. I'm on the other side of the bracket. Brooks' team is so good. He knows he's already pretty much locked it down. So I wanted to congratulate Brooks. He's been going around talking about how his team's pretty much unbeatable. So congratulations, Brooks.
No such thing.
Pre-congratulations to Brooks.
Yes.
It's one of the strategies that we take as fantasy owners is you can kind of jinx your opponent by pre-congratulating them.
Yeah.
Not having it.
Scientifically proven.
I have purchased congratulations cards and even put money in it. I believe I gave you one of those cards once, Andy.
Yeah.
And
Well, you can do that for me.
He is claiming his victory. You heard it here first.
There's a price.
Brooks wanting the congratulation card
with the money. He wants the money.
Yeah, that's why.
It was $1, to be fair.
That's true. I want to remind everybody as we close the show about Omaha Steaks. This holiday season, send the gift of Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com, type the word fantasy into the search bar, and you can get 74% off the family gift package. It's only $49.99. Order today, and you'll get hand-cut sirloin steaks, premium pork chops, kielbasa sausages, burgers, and so much more. Go to omahasteaks.com, type fantasy in the search bar, and then add the family gift package to your cart. Tyreek Hill, you better play. That's all I got to say. Congrats again, Brooks. See you later, Foot Clan. We'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.